Hello, my friend. We're live.
Oh,
Welcome to Burn the Ship.
hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Glad to be
absolutely.
here.
So, just to give you the little rundown, I usually give my guests a rundown before we start the podcast. Didn't have the opportunity to do that today because of my lack of
Oh,
technology
cold
skills.
turkey.
But what we do is we connect entrepreneurs with professionals that can help them go all in on their business. So what we want to do is learn a little bit about your story. We want to know what it is over time that you've developed within your business, either a skill or an experience or something that you've learned that makes you successful. And then we're going to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do. So it's pretty easy. And we'll drive from here, and I appreciate you being here, my friend. It really does mean a lot. I'm glad to have been connected with you over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Excited to get it rocking. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Why don't you go ahead and introduce us? Give us your name and your business and what you guys do, who you're looking to connect with.
sure. My name is Mike Van Pelt, and I am a men's life coach, and I help men write their comeback story. And so, what that looks like is that we can do one-on-one coaching for somebody, and in the future, I'll be looking to do workshops, both live and in person. But it's really more about connecting with men and walking alongside them so that they can have more clarity and focus in their lives.
Sure. And we have a lot of that over the, like we've been talking a little bit before the podcast, that over the last, 18, 20 months, there's been a big lack of clarity, through this
Yep.
great resignation where even corporate companies and positions are having a hard time filling their void. But it's like you said earlier, is that it always comes back to life at the end of the day, is that we
Yep.
all struggle with a lot of the same things. We all have a lot of issues that are similar to one another, even though everyone is kind of in the middle of a different walk. So that is something that we want to connect with, is because we know that there are a lot of young entrepreneurs, meaning young within their business, a year or two
Yep.
into their business, and as well as there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that are men that are struggling with some hump that they want to overcome, that says, well, when I overcome this hump, I'm going to be a business owner.
Right.
So this is our attempt to connect someone that can kind of remedy that.
Well, yeah, and I think the biggest thing that how I look at it typically is, we're going to sit down in that case where somebody's going, well, I think I want to do this. Okay, what's your vision? What do you want? How are you going to get there? What's the purpose behind that vision? And what are the steps that need to be taken in order to get there? So we in my coaching world, we call it an O loop.
Sure.
What, why, and how. So you've got to go through those steps, whether it's building a business or in your personal life, to have understanding around what your purpose and your vision is.
Sure.
So that's how I see working with somebody and helping them gain that clarity around that.
Tell me a little bit of your background. So how did you arrive at this conclusion that this is what you wanted to help people with?
Yeah, I like to say it was a collision between my business life and my faith life, quite honestly. So I have years of sales experience in a variety of different industries, and so I've had the opportunity to work with a number of different organizations and meet a lot of professionals over the years. So I've got a little bit of professional background in me, and then really over the last 5 or 6 years, I got heavily involved in men's small group, and I've been a Christian all my life. But really, what that brought me was this ability to feel alive in my faith, and what I saw when I was around all those men was that from time to time, if not more often than not, guys just needed somebody to walk alongside them to help them get through some of the difficulties that happen in life, whether it's going through a divorce, whether it's something that a tragedy that occurs in the family, and maybe they're just wondering, gosh, is this all there is to life? There's got to be more than this. I'm looking for more than this, but I don't know how to get it. And so I came to actually during COVID, I met a guy that had a business that helped me bring all the tools together that I wanted for the coaching practice, and so I started my men's life coaching practice, and then we also decided to start a podcast along
Sure.
with that. So here I am sitting in front of a microphone again today, but so it's it's that combination, I guess, to answer your question, of my faith and business life coming together, and just that understanding that, hey, uh, I can help men in their walk, and it's really turned into a special calling for me, something
Sure.
has become a real passion for me.
Well, what is your business background? What did you do before this for work?
Yeah. So, well, again, most of my career has been in sales. Telecommunication sales. I
Cool.
spent several years in financial services and in the insurance industry. So I've really always been working with
Sure.
people. So I've had that front row seat to see what's going on with people. And when you're in sales, you're having intimate discussions with people. So it was almost a natural progression to some degree for me to move this way. And then the other side of that is I have a was constantly involved in sports all my life. So I've always, in fact, I always thought I would be. My goal at one time was to be a college basketball coach, and I spent some time around.
That's strange because that's my dream now.
Yeah,
That's my
right.
dream job now.
Right. Well, can I talk you out of it? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, in fact, I spent a handful of years at the University of Arkansas when I was young as a manager on the basketball team. I really thought that was going to be my calling in life. And sometimes life has
Other plans.
other plans, and that's what happened to me. But I've always had
Me too, kind of. That's so strange.
yeah, I've always had a deep admiration for teachers and coaches and leadership and what it takes to win and be successful. And if you were to look at my library at my house, you would see, books like that, and really have always studied what it takes to be a champion and live a positive life. And so, like I said, I feel like I've married all those things and brought them together, and now have this great opportunity to walk alongside guys and help them get their vision and focus in
Sure.
life.
Well, my follow up question to that would be you focus a lot on the comeback story
Hmm.
of the people that you're working with. Did you experience that yourself? Did you experience a comeback story, some type of mental revolution that kind of led to say, hey, I understand what the mental process is of making this comeback, and I can kind of play in the same ball field? I can kind of speak that same language. Did you have that same
Yeah,
experience?
it's interesting. I did a lot of things backwards in life.
Right.
So I said I went to the University of Arkansas. I didn't graduate there. And so what happened was I was in the insurance and financial services world, but I was really experiencing this, like, there's got to be something more. There's no passion for me around this. And our kids were quite young at that point. I'm going to say in that 6, 7 year old range.
Sure.
And my wife had a pretty demanding job, so she said, "Mike, be a stay-at-home dad and figure out what it is that you want to do." And so I found myself saying to my kids, "Hey, school's like really important, right?" And then I thought, "But you didn't finish your college degree." So while I was a stay-at-home dad, I finished my college degree and started doing a ton of volunteering. And when I looked at that volunteering, I thought, wow, your calling in life might be nonprofit. I was really doing a lot with nonprofits, attracted to that world, and went back and got my master's degree. But the epiphany really for starting a business for me was that I was not fulfilled inside for anything that I was doing, really struggling to find purpose and passion behind everything. And it was terribly difficult to go back out in the work world. People would kind of look at me cross-eyed a little bit, like,
Sure.
"Oh, so you've been a stay-at-home dad for a little bit, and you got your college degree." And most people wanted to tell me that, well, you're not qualified for this, you're not qualified for that, maybe you need to look at this. And so I really struggled with that for a long time. In fact, really dealt with the shame of not knowing what it is that I wanted to do and not having that passion around anything. And that's really going through that, it became a deeper wound than I really thought it was, gave
Sure.
it credit for. And when I got around other guys and really started understanding how that wound played in my faith life, I was able to heal from it. And here I am today. I've walked the walk. I know what it feels like to feel hurt, to feel shame, to not feel understood, to kind of feel like you're on an island. It can be terribly uncomfortable. It can really be a miserable feeling as a man. And as a man, we have a tendency to just keep going. We
Right.
will plow through and just keep trying to get through it and not seek out help. And my suggestion is, hey, be vulnerable, take a chance. It's okay to have somebody walk alongside you. So that was kind of my turn of events that gets me to where I am today.
Tell me about the introduction of this becoming a business. Like, what were you pleasantly surprised that went well, and what were your biggest learning experiences once you kind of decided, hey, this is the route that I want to use to bring value to the clients that I'm going to pursue?
For me, what I was looking for was somewhat of a franchise opportunity. So I wanted the tools in place so I didn't have to recreate the wheel.
Right.
I'd gone through a period of time where I was trying to recreate the wheel, and I just could not get to a point where I was 100% comfortable. And actually during COVID, my wife, unfortunately, her position was eliminated, and we were just kind of randomly looking at things like, could we start a franchise? Could we stay where we were? And there was really nothing out there that I found that would lead to nothing other than divorce, because we would have hated each other working with each other. And so,
I'm glad that you could see that at the beginning of the fork in the road and not 6 miles down the road.
It's good to see that up front. So, but I came across, and to this day, and this is the beauty of things and life and the things that God, I think, puts in front of you. I came across this ad for an organization called One Way Life. And I went out, started doing a little research, and this guy had on YouTube a video where he was talking about dads and how to be a better dad. And I said, that's exactly what I want to do. And so I picked up the phone and called this guy, and we went through the whole coaching process. And I told him, I'm totally in love with your program. I think this is an incredible program. This is exactly what I want to do. But I said, I've got one problem. At some point, our family's probably going to be forced to relocate. And the hardest thing I've had to do was know that I have a golden ticket in my hand and sit and wait until we made that move. So once we were able to get here to the Atlanta area, I really turned it on full blast. But the biggest thing that I have found in business, and I could have guessed it, but I didn't see the depth of, was how everything online had just completely blown up. I mean, moved fast pace 5, 6, 7, 8 years ahead due to COVID. And so the amount of online networking you're able to do from California to New York at darn near any time of the day has absolutely blown me away. It kind of caught me off guard because my message is really resonating with people. And so I didn't have all the tools in place to capture what was coming at me. And so I've had to make some quick pivots and really search out people that could help me I'm not a technical guy. I don't like that. I'd rather be on the golf course.
Right.
So, I've had to search out people that can help me get to where I want to get to. So it's been an interesting road the last few months.
Sure. Well, it seems like you one skill that it seems like just on the outside looking in that is some relation to the way that you kind of audit your clients is that you have taken this journey. And I say journey because I do mean journey. Like there was things that you needed to experience and perspective that you needed to have that you didn't have that allowed you to come to this this one continuous simple thought of, this is the value that I want to bring to this specific set of people, because you had that question of, hey, well, what do you want to do? Think about it, reflect on it.
Yeah.
And you said, here's the value that I want to bring to these people. And probably here's how I'm going to make money, and here's what it's going to do for my family, and all of those things as well. When a big portion of what I'm assuming is, when you're sitting down with some of these men that you're working with, is what do you get that type of satisfaction from? What is that value that you deliver people that gives you that good feeling in your stomach at the end of the day?
I think it's just making them, seeing them make that turn, make that commitment. So I'll give you an example. I was coaching with a guy yesterday, and fantastic guy. He knew he struggled with a little bit of organization and the to-do list and that type of thing. And so when we bring in a client, one of the things that we do is an assessment. And it really allows us that third party, opportunity to dig in and peel back the onion in an unbiased kind of way. And it didn't reveal anything I didn't think it would. And so we had a lot of conversation yesterday about, how can he be more organized and structured in his life to get what he wants. And so one of the things that I tasked him with was, for the next 14 days, as I talked about earlier, the O loop, the what, why, and how of everything. So for the next 14 days, I want you to text me something every morning to build on that organization. And, when you do that with a client, you always wonder how committed they are. But when that text came in this morning, I grinned from ear to ear, because that's when you're making an impact on somebody's life. And I can't think of anything better than making an impact on somebody's life and then seeing them push forward to try to, to change their life. That's fun.
Right.
That's fun. So, and I love that.
What do you believe is that most foundational building block of a positive mindset? Do you talk a lot about habits? Do you talk a lot, what is that thing that you believe is low hanging fruit for people to change? Or it's just like we were having with my sales leader that you met earlier, Jay, is we were talking last week about all of the little things that sales reps need to do to ensure themselves for success. You want to be well groomed. You want to be well dressed. You want to present yourself in a friendly fashion. You want to be healthy. You want to look healthy. You want to look like what people want to look like. You want to be slightly better dressed than the people you're around, just slightly, no matter where that is. We were talking like, how do we quantify all of these things and then kind of give people, or make people kind of grade themselves on it and get better? Because there's very competent sales reps out there in their industry that are shooting themselves in the foot because they think they don't want to do those little things right. So that is kind of my question is, what are those little things that you touch on first of like, okay, well, we want to make this big change at the top. What are some of how do you break that down and kind of categorize the little things that you want to make the changes according to their goals?
The assessment we do helps with that, because we're able to talk through those things. So what an assessment looks like for us is, we're looking at a number of different things, but we look at 29 inner environmental traits, and we look at some outer environmental traits. And I won't go into details on those, but the assessment really helps that drill down. And then it allows me to do a one-on-one where I'm sitting with the client going, what do you see here? Why did we get a 2 here and a 3 here and that type of thing? But above and beyond that, every situation and every person is going to be different. But the number one thing that kind of comes to mind, and I've experienced this as a salesperson, especially early on in my career, and I find myself talking about this more and more, and I use this book quite often, The Magic of Thinking Big. I don't even know how many years old that book is, but it's definitely a foundational tool. And one of the things that they talk about, and I think it's chapter 6 or chapter 10, if you read nothing else, read this chapter, and that is be in action. And so I think so much of the time what people struggle is, they want to they want to sit and think about, well, what it is that they need to do. And I'm not saying don't think about what it is that you need to do, but how long are you going to sit and think before you take action on something? And so that's one of the things that I've tried to keep in my mind as a business owner right now. There are a lot of things coming at you, and there's a lot of things that I want to stop and think about, but sometimes it just requires me to be in action, to hop out of my car, no matter how nervous I am, walk up the flight of stairs like I did today, and sit behind a microphone and do a podcast. Is it uncomfortable for me? It doesn't feel normal, but it's a lot of fun.
Right.
So, but in order to make this happen, I had to be in action, and I think that's one of the big things that I see. And I could probably go on and on all day about some of the other things, but if you're not in action, you're not moving.
Right.
And it's pretty easy to get ahead of people, even if you don't have all the skills in the world, if you just be in action. The other thing too, and this is a guy thing, and I think I've talked about this already, but guys are so, they limit themselves by trying to do life on their own and not going to seek help. And that's the biggest thing I've done with my business right now. There are areas I'm just not good at. I don't like building web pages or all that technical stuff. And I'm gone out and put my pride aside and said, help me build this so I can take my business to the next level. And so many guys are afraid to do that. Like, they're not the manly man if they, don't do it on their own. And there couldn't be anything further from the truth.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. This sense of self-responsibility works for and against us a lot of times. It's like you want to be responsible for yourself, so what do? You toughen your chin up, and you take those lumps.
Right.
Or, hey, I want to be responsible for myself, so I want to go get help. Well, then you feel kind of responsible about getting the help. Like, oh, did I really need this? What type of impact is it going to have on me? So it's a two-way street there of, do I toughen up and do I endure, or do I go and find somebody to walk through this stuff with me, like you were talking about earlier? There's a lot of situations in life where you have to say, oh, I need someone for this.
Well, being tough is knowing your limits.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're not good in one area, go get help. You're never going to be great in all areas of life or business. Find the expert who is and bring him in and help you to be the person you want to be. Or if you're building a business, bring in a specialist and plug that hole.
Sure.
And bring somebody in that can help make you successful. And there's no shame in that.
Right.
The actual shame is not doing it.
Right. How do you reflect on your own goals and habits and mindset? Like, how do you kind of do that assessment that you do with other people for yourself?
Well, I of course have done everything that I ask my clients to do. I went through that process myself. And so the funny thing is I find it hard to settle on planners. So I'm a big planner journaler guy, and I'm always searching for tools to see what works best. I seem to always land back on Franklin Covey. but the one thing that I think is important, and there are a lot of great digital tools out there, but
sure.
I love the old fine art of pen and paper and putting things down on pen and paper, having your goals down on pen and paper. And for a while in my business consulting world, I did a one-page business plan,
right?
Something, just keywords, short phrases, simple stuff. But I think it's important to have that stuff on paper so that where you're at, what your purpose is, what your vision is, what needs to get done in order for you to be successful. I think it's important to have that stuff down on paper. Have a plan, have a strategy. That's going to equate to success in the long run.
Sure. So tell me, what would you be doing if you weren't doing, if you hadn't decided this walk of life of, oh, I'm going to be a resource to men to help them write their comeback story? Where is this? What got second place in that contest in your head?
Well, in my head, I'd be playing professional golf.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but that's hard. Yeah.
well, I am nowhere near professional golf. I barely get can play good amateur golf. But
Right. I'm with you, my friend.
what would I
We're
do?
we're a cool set of 15 handicaps all
Yeah.
around this
Now,
office. So,
I'm all about goal setting, but and I have high aspirations for golf. Don't get me wrong, but it is definitely, of all the sports I've ever played, golf is by far the most difficult. But at this point in my life, I also find it the most satisfying because
it's definitely the most mentally taxing if you let it be.
it can be. But one of the things, and we commonly talk about this on our True Man podcast, that you've got to have in place for your life is margin. And one of the things that builds margin for me is being outside, seeing God's green and beautiful earth. And I know a lot of people will say, well, why do you go out and hit that little white ball around? Because to me, golf courses are some of the most beautiful architecture that
Oh,
you
yeah.
can be around. And I've played golf, all over this country and seen some beautiful things. And so I really enjoy the downtime. I like the competitiveness too, but the downtime of that. So that's the fun me saying I would play golf. What would I be doing? Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I was called to do this. I feel like this is my mission in life, and it took me a while to get there. And
Sure.
that's the interesting part about it is sometimes these things don't happen on your timeline; they happen on God's timeline.
Right.
And He has certainly brought a lot of pieces to play in a very, very short period of time and answered a lot of prayers.
Sure.
So I don't know what the next it is because I'm so consumed with the fact that this is what I was called to do.
Right.
I'm meant to do this. So
Well, my all the positive energy I have toward you going and playing professional golf, that'd be cool for all of us. Tell me, I just got a couple more questions for you
Sure.
here. How, if anyone in our audience or in our database wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, then give me a call. I'll just put my phone number out there.
Sure, that
One,
works.
so you can call me 864-266-2058. You can send me an email to I have a couple of different websites I'm working on, but I'll say send me an email to Mike at startyourcomebackstory.com. You can reach me there. And if you want a worksheet and you want to better understand how you could begin your comeback story, you can go to startyourcomebackstory.com, request a free worksheet on that. And if you want to take it further, obviously reach out to me and we can have a free one-on-one
Sure.
call where we talk about what's going on in your life and see if coaching may help.
Well, the last question I had for you, and I kind of want to allude back to something that you said at the beginning, was that you get serious satisfaction out of telling people, or excuse me, you get serious satisfaction out of watching people make that commitment to themselves. Not telling people to make the commitment, but once you see someone acknowledge that commitment that they want to make a change in yourself. I want you to tell me kind of what that feels like. And the reason that I want to ask that is because this podcast is called Burn the Ship.
Yep.
Our goal, like I said, as always, is connect entrepreneurs with professionals to help them go all in on their business.
Yeah.
You don't have to own a business right now to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
You can be an entrepreneur at heart. You can have plans to be an entrepreneur. You can acquire a business. You can start a business. You can start a hobby. Anything that you're going to put your pride on and hustle on full blast and take ownership of something and become that company. You're going to embody that company. To me, that's burning the ship. That's committing and going all in on one goal.
Yeah.
Tell me what it feels like when people burn that ship and go all in on their own happiness, their own life. Tell me what that experience is like.
Well, for me, it's release, right? You don't. It's just pure joy and happiness because, number one, I know what it feels like to have that stuff buried inside you. We often start the podcast by talking about, we talk about the questions that are deep seated inside a man, and because we'll keep those questions deep seated until somebody pokes you between the eye and makes you talk about it. And for me, I just get so much satisfaction out of seeing people succeed and be their best. I can't imagine a better feeling than that. And it's fun to know that you walked alongside somebody to help them be their best. I think it's in so many respects, it's a lot like parenting, right?
Right.
I mean, my kids are 16 and 18. My son just went off to his freshman year of college, and
Where'd he go?
he went to Winthrop,
Oh, cool.
Rock Hill outside
Mhm.
of Charlotte. And it's been exciting to see him this first semester, really becoming a man, and having to do things on his own. And you just sit back as a parent and you go, man, that's really cool. I wasn't sure he
Yeah.
was capable of it, but
Yeah.
maybe he was paying attention to what we were saying. And
Mine's 4, and I can't even
Yeah.
fathom that right now.
well,
My 4-year-old can't listen to me say
Yeah.
a word.
Everybody says this, and it's just so true. It's a surreal experience. You move from 4 to watching your kid walk across the stage and graduate high school so fast.
Hmm.
It happens so fast. And that's another reason why I think it's important that I do what I do, because it does move fast, and you have to be present in those 18 years because you will never get them back. And that's a hard thing to probably for some folks to hear right now. I just said folks, and I told you I wouldn't say folks on a podcast. So it's a hard thing for people to hear sometimes, but it is so true. And I will never forget that night watching my son graduate. But by the way, funny story. They ask his nickname is Zari, which I won't get into, but they asked him what he wanted to be called. He told them Zari. So when my son graduated, they announced his name as Zari Van Pelt. And I remember my wife looking at each other in stunned disbelief that he actually pulled that off.
Oh, that is awesome.
So, but it's just like that. I mean, working with clients is just like having kids, and you have the satisfaction of knowing that, hey, they're listening to. Not that I'm some genius. I'm not some whiz, but sometimes it's just powerfully awesome to have somebody walk alongside you and say,
Sure.
hey, instead of thinking about this, did you think about this? Just say it. you
Right.
know? And so it's just very, very satisfying.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Mike, it's been a pleasure to share the podcast table with someone that is so invested in the success and health and mindset of the people that they're working with, kind of the same way we are. You know, like it matters to us, the feeling that you have about your business and how, the energy that you give off when you speak about your business, it matters to us. We want to be a resource for all those people as well. So this has been an awesome podcast. I appreciate making your introduction. This has been Burn the Ship. If you have anything else to say, go ahead. The platform and the floor is yours, my friend. But I really wanted to say that I appreciate you being here because I think you're a great resource to a lot of people that tune in.
Well, thanks. I just want to say that, this is my mission. It is my passion, and I'm very sincere about it. I know that sometimes life coaches get a bad rap, and I understand that because I've met some other life coaches, so I can understand why that would be the case. But I think what people need to understand about it is that when you find somebody that's walked the walk and they have quality resources like I have, that hey, it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to have somebody walk alongside you. So, and I hope I can be that resource for men in the future if they're looking for somebody to help them gain a little bit more clarity and focus in their life. So
Sure. Lean on us if you need us.
absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks, my friend.